My name is Magnus, and welcome to my countryside workshop. I am a mechanic, mostly fixing machines like tractors, chainsaws and other garden machinery. I grew up like this, with a passion for classic tractors, and my favorite thing to do as a young boy was to sit quietly alone in the fields, watching tractors, and I could be sitting there for hours, just watching the farmers work the land with the tractors. But that precious time did teach me more than just about tractors and farming. It also taught me a lot about nature and how everything was connected, and that is really what this series is about: the natural world and the relaxed life in the countryside. I want to take you with me on my many small adventures around in the woods, on a journey to find out more about what surrounds us, from the tiniest detail that can lead you to an amazing animal sighting, or to find edible plants that you can eat, or plants not to eat. And doing so by using some very cool machinery. Although there is something else here in my workshop. Something I built out of some tractor parts and some racing parts. But to be honest, this thing, it scares me. I want to start my journey higher up in altitude to catch sight of some of the very early spring flowers. There's still some snow up there, but I hope it's not too much, so I can manage to walk there on foot and hopefully see a wildflower or two. And that's what I like, to just wander off into the woods and see where it takes me. And that's my trusty friend, Lakota. She usually joins me on my journeys, and she loves the forest. But she is part wolf, so I need to keep her on a leash. It doesn't take long before I stumble upon something I always look for when I'm walking in these woods, especially in the wintertime, and that's something called old man's beard. You can find them on mostly spruce trees, but also birch and pine. What I love about this is it easily flammable, so I use it to start fires, and I use it as a towel. You can dry your hands if your hands are wet. And if you caught a fish or something, you can use it to wipe down the fish. So this is nature's own towel or toilet paper, actually. You can use it. I guess you can use it as toilet paper as well. I haven't tried that. I love to be in the forest in the springtime. It's a wonderful time of year, but it was more snow here than I first expected. So I think I will head further down south and into the beech forest to see if I can spot any wildflowers there. But first, a quick bite to eat. doesn't take many weeks before the forest turns into this magnificent light green color. Especially one of the tree species has my attention right now, and that's the beech tree. I just love the tree. I just love the beech. It's often referred to as the queen of the forest, the oak being the king. I have always loved the beech forest. It is a very special place, and the trees are just beautiful. But my favorite part of the tree at this time of year, it must be the fresh beech leaves. These baby leaves are very soft and quite delicious. I guess you can call it the lettuce of the wild. And you can eat them straight from the bush. And it's really nice. Later on in the series, I will take you with me and we're gonna make a salad out of these leaves. So stay tuned for that. I continue my search for the spring flowers and head further into this beautiful forest. With flower names such as March Marigold Kingcup, Golden Saxifrage, Wood Bittercress and Lady Schmack, it's almost like being in a romantic fairy tale world. And it's hard not to get lost in this beautiful landscape that I'm lucky to call my own world. And I am slightly amazed that I have all this for myself, usually. Because I never meet anybody out there. But that's kinda how I like it, so I don't mind. And it's simply wonderful. But there is stuff happening in these woods. Stuff that maybe can be looked upon as supernatural. And I have always been fascinated by folk tales and myths. As I walk further into this forest, I enter a very special place. A place where I walk with a lot of respect and some fear. Among some standing stones and some strange looking rock formation, I enter a magical world, and some say it even is a portal to the other world. The fairies in the Celtic tradition were keepers of the land. They kept the land sacred and helped the nature grow. But in the old folklores, fairies were nothing like the cute winged creatures you might see in the Disney movies. And as you see behind me, there's a mountain wall full of holes or small caves. And according to old folk tales, that's the home of the nature spirits. They go by many names. In Ireland and Scotland, they are known as the fairies. This was very special. I have to step a little bit careful here, so I don't mess with the fairies. You don't want to mess with the fairies. They were known to be tricksters, meaning they will play tricks on the people who encounter them. If you took a drink from a fairy, you could at the same time unwillingly be saying yes to a bad curse happening to you. And in my personal life, I have experienced stuff out here that are difficult to explain. You are not supposed to mess with the fairies. If you do, bad stuff can happen to you. So you don't want to ask them for a favor. And if you try to fool them, or if you made a deal with them, it could mean a life for a life. Or you can be lost in the other world forever. And according to all legends, these small caves or holes in the mountain are portals to the other world. My dog, she doesn't like this place, and I don't think that's a coincidence. So, and to be honest, I get a creepy feeling just sitting here. what do the fairies look like? According to the stories, they are just like normal people, only shorter, around 5'6" and around 5 foot tall. So they are not tall people, and they are supposed to dress in green and red. So maybe there is something to that. I don't know, but I find those stories and the tales very fascinating. So, do you want to believe in the fairies? Well, it's up to you. But personally, I keep an eye. But I don't mess with them. But don't mess with them. You can ask for a favor, but they will ask for one back. And if you do so, make sure it's a good one. But I do want to get more out of the day, so before it turns too dark, I want to check on the wildlife. And I drive further east to see if I can spot anything. And it doesn't take long before I stumble upon some very interesting signs. Elderberry bushes are a good indicator of one of my favorite animals, the European badger. This. I can reach it. And these bushes are called elderberries. And yeah, you can find berries on them. You can actually eat them, but they don't taste much good in a raw state. And the elderberry bushes you very often find close to badgers' burrows, because where the badger poop, the elderberries will grow. It's a very classic sign. So I guess there are badgers' activity in this place. But also in the Old Norse mythology, the goddess Freya lived with the elderberry bushes. She lived amongst them, so they say in the tales. So I haven't seen her today, but she's here. My dog Lakota literally walks straight into a patch of a beautiful flower, Commelia majalis, better known as the lily of the valley. But don't be fooled by its beauty. And the lily of the valley is very beautiful, but it's a plant I am very careful about, because it's very toxic. It's if you eat it, you can die, and that have happened before. People have mistaken it for being wild garlic, which it certainly is not. One bite of this characteristic plant can make you very ill, and in worst case, make your heart stop beating. But luckily, the chances to be poisoned are very low, since the plant do not taste good, and you'll be likely to spit it out very fast. And it's a very popular plant to pick and take home to decorate your home, and that's perfectly fine. Just don't eat it. Although the lily of the valley is known as a heart stopper, it can also be a heart healer, and today it's used in heart medicine, often combined with other wildflowers such as Foxglove digitalis and hawthorn. A lot of the spring flowers are toxic to eat, and that goes for the wood anemones, the bluebells. But there is one flower that you can find as soon as the snow melts, and that's called wood sorrel. And wood sorrel tastes of apple peel and is a delicious snack along the road. And you can eat them, but just be sure to pick a fresh one and not the one from the previous year. Because they are not that good. That wasn't fresh. And even I can pick a wrong one. This one. Woodsman snack. And then it starts to rain. And rain is of course the lifeblood of everything out there. But I do enjoy walking in the rainy forest. And then I spot some interesting signs on this log. And it's pointing me towards the badger. And something tells me that I'm right in his backyard. I think Lakota, my dog, just found the badger den or hole. So let's follow her and see what she has found. She's occupied with something. I don't hope she's wrestling with the badger, because she will lose. Kom til grevlingen. Yep, this is the badger holes. These holes are known as sets, and the badger sets can be very impressive, going back generations. Often they have an oval-shaped hole with a slight angle leading into them. Badgers can't see color or details, only movements. They are usually out at night, foraging for grubs, earthworms and insects. And they are mostly occupied with their own tasks. They are no danger to humans or many other animals, but they do have 5 sharp claws on each foot, but they are only for digging and for ripping up logs. As I head out of the forest for the day, I stop to see an old friend of mine, the yew tree. This ancient looking tree is called the yew tree, and it's one of my personal favorites. It's an awesome looking tree, I have to say. Yew trees can be up to 2,000 years old and have a lot of mystic connected to them. And for me, it takes me to Ireland. It's a very rare tree to see in the Nordic forest. So I have some special places where I can find it, and I keep them kind of sacred and secret. And for me, the yew tree is very special. I have some great memories from it, from my time in Ireland. This tree was a tree of worship long before the time of Christianity, but it is very often referred to as a Christian tree, and you can often find the yew tree on cemeteries in Ireland and on the British Isles. So So today it's very often referred to in the Christianity beliefs, in the Christian beliefs. Although these three represent life and death. Every single part of it are very toxic, it's highly poisonous. But today modern scientists have found out that from the trimmings of the branches from the yew tree you can find a sap that you can use to treat soft tissue cancer. So that's just wonderful. As late spring quickly arrives, with more shades of green, the forest turns into an abundant place filled with edible plants. And this morning I'm on the hunt for a salad. And this beech forest, I think, will provide the ingredients I need. And just by walking on this very normal gravel road, forest road, I spot a lot of different tree species that are very helpful. For example, the willow, many different types of willow, but all of them contains salicylic acid. And the willow and the salicylic acid is kind of the grandfather of the antibiotics. So it's a very nice tree to use in medicine. If you have a toothache or something, chew on a piece of willow bark or on the branches, and you will feel the ache disappear. It's a very effective medicine tree. A beautiful purple flower is a violet, is a wood or forest violet. Very beautiful flower. I love to see the violets, it's a beautiful flower. When you learn to notice, to keep attention to the details in the nature, you will see stuff just like this. This is a broken willow branch. This broken willow branch is chewed on by some kind of deer. Yep. And this is a roe deer. I can see the teeth marks are pretty small, so that tells me that this is a small deer, a roe deer, that has been chewing on that, probably in the winter time. All this walking do make me hungry, so I better get started on my Woodsman's lunch. At this time of year, I am totally spoiled with wild plants to use in my salad. But you must know what to look for. You can't just eat every green plant you find. And that takes some practice and some experience. But if you are willing to learn, a brand new world can open up in front of you. So here's my salad. Most of it are fresh beech leaves, but also some wood sorrel, and to top it all off, some dandelion flower heads. The yellow part is the best part of the dandelion. But I also brought some ingredients with me, such as tomato, some ham and some cheese. So this is gonna be a delicious lunch here in the forest. I was hoping to find some wild cherry blossom to sprinkle on top, but I couldn't find anything. But if you are going to use cherry blossom, be very careful by not eating too much of it, because it contains cyanide, which is deadly in big doses. Here, the finished product. I might not be the best chef out there, but I think this looks pretty good. So, the only way to prove it is to taste it. Magnificent. This is a real Woodsman's lunch. Beautiful. Very nice. And the spruce roots really stands out. And the beech, and as I said before, the beech is the lettuce of the wild. So might be some beetles and worms in here, but that's just protein. I look to nature for my life's inspiration. I start my projects in spring, let them blossom through the summer, and harvest the best parts in autumn. Then, when winter arrives, I go further into planning and preparations to make the next year grow even better and give even more fertile ideas. The next morning I head back out again, just to get that fresh spring feeling in my nose. And it's a lovely time of year, especially out here in the countryside. And for me it brings peace and motivation. My main goal is to create a life where I can pursue my passions, follow my dreams and manifest what I'm thinking. I try to look at the positive sides of everything. A problem is only a problem if you choose to look at it that way. I see only solutions and opportunities. Of course, it's not always easy, but with the right mindset, you can conquer the most difficult task. And some creative methods and ideas can come in very handy. And it truly is nice to be out here in the spring forest. Out here in the countryside you can smell the forest and the farms nearby, hearing the tractors doing spring work. And I just love that sort of stuff, because I grew up with that. Enjoying a cup of coffee out here in the spring forest. One of my favorite activities, that's for sure. This is a magical time in the forest. Everything is coming back to life. And it gets greener and greener every day. Just love to be a part of that. And to just see, just to watch and listen, use my senses. That's the main thing. To feel the sunshine on my shoulders again. And to hear the birds sing. It's truly a beautiful feeling. And it's the small things in life that counts. But if you start to study what you have around you, small trips in the forest can be very exciting. When I look around in the forest, I see friends, I see helpers, natural resources that can help me. And not to be scared of it, like many people are. Are you the badger? Are you a badger? My time out here in the spring forest is coming to the end for this time. And I have to head back to my workshop to get that old Massey Ferguson done. But there is one more thing that I want to do.
Moved on and left a new day. Nothing seems to move, everything is still. It's just a perfect day. The shadows and move with the wind. Hidden violets grow, splashed with summer spray.